Well, hey everybody, I'm John Rethlin. This is every Impact Wrestling X Division champion ranked from worst to best. 42 different guys have held the championship from the NWA TNA era to the TNA era to the now rebranded Impact Wrestling era, and that's a lot to get through. And even the worst ones, I can sort of see what they were doing, and all these men that held the championship are legit, and I can totally see why they did what they did. Sure, sometimes the X Division championship's credibility has been kind of but that does not take anything away from the great athletes that have held this, and so I'm probably going to get through a lot of the worst ones quickly to get to the really good ones. So enjoy the ride, and thank you guys for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. As a wrestling fan, to all the fellow wrestling fans, it really does mean a lot to me. So we go number 42, Abyss, 1 reign, 55 days. Nothing against Abyss. Abyss is one of the best monsters of the modern era, clearly. Tore his body up. Really great mainstay of Impact Wrestling. Yes, he is now a producer for WWE, but his reign as X Division champion was kind of shit because it was just like, yeah, the whole, it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. This was about just him holding the championship hostage, essentially, until an X Division wrestler could beat him. And I got what they were trying to say. The storytelling wasn't all that great. Nothing against Abyss. He did the best he could, but this was not good. This was not good at all. It was a low point for the title, even though Abyss did everything he could to try and make it work. Number 41, Eric Young, 1 reign, and he held it for like, what, 1 day? Maybe 1 day. Got stripped soon after. What else am I going to say about this? I mean, I love Eric Young. Eric Young, another mainstay of Impact Wrestling, and has been in WWE and marginalized pretty goddamn horribly since he got called up to the main roster. He's somebody that got a whole lot out of a little in Impact, and boy, did he ever. But yeah, I mean, it's 1 reign. It's like less than, come on. I can't rank it any higher than this. Number 40, Mike Bennett, 1 reign, 1 day. I love Mike Bennett. I'm glad that he is clean and sober. Him and Maria are very happy, and they have 1 child and another child on the way, and that's great. But he only had it for a goddamn day. He only had it for a fucking day. And it's still better than his 24/7 championship run, because, you know, the X Division title is an actual goddamn championship. But before I get off on that tangent, I love Mike Bennett. I just wish that he would have gotten a bit of a longer run. Number 39, X-Pac, 1 reign, 14 days. I thought he had a nice little couple runs in Impact Wrestling, the NWA TNA era, and then, I mean, it was still the NWA TNA era, but he was on, this was during the Fox Sports Net era. He was actually brought in to face Raven when Jeff Hardy no-showed a pay-per-view. Good job there. But X-Pac, even at this stage of his career, with him beating his body up quite a bit, even though he wrestled for a number of years afterwards, him holding the championship, that was some good credibility, even though he only had for a couple weeks. And then we get to number 38. Johnny Devine, 1 reign, 20 days. I like Johnny Devine. I like Paparazzi Productions, him and Alex Shelley and Kevin Nash. Just didn't last very long. Less than 3 weeks. Just under 3 weeks. Johnny Devine, legit. Very legit athlete. Very good. Was another guy that they kind of got marginalized after a while. After teaming with Team 3D, kind of just went by the wayside. I don't know what he's necessarily doing right now, but he was a good mainstay in the X Division for a while. Just wish he held it longer. But we get to number 37. Kurt Angle, 1 reign, 28 days. This is when Kurt Angle held all the championships except the Knockouts Championship. Though at that point, I wouldn't have been surprised if at Bound for Glory they just put the title on him. I kid. Impact actually treated their Knockouts Championship with respect and didn't put it on a guy like WWE did, or whatever. Moving on. He had won the X Division Championship in a winner-take-all match against Samoa Joe, and then defended against Jay Lethal at No Surrender 2007 in a great match. Very underappreciated match, honestly. I mean, I know some people praise it, but I just think that it deserves a little bit more respect and a little bit more not credibility, just a little more attention. So if you can find it on the Impact Wrestling YouTube channel, I'm not sure if it's on there. No Surrender 2007, Angle versus Jay Lethal. It was great stuff. But yeah, he only held it for a little bit, and it was just a way to tell a story of like him being, a dual or triple champion at the time, because he held the tag titles and the world title. Then we get to number 36, Robbie E, 1 reign, 30 days. Robbie E is now currently a manager in NXT. And he was another one where I was like, really? This guy? This is the guy they're going to use? Hey, the guy's a great athlete. I just wasn't so sure about the character, but he did really damn good. He's only champion for about a month. But he did well with what they gave him and actually made the most of it. And by God, did he get over. for a good while. And the Bromans were quite a team. I actually did Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions ranked from worst to best. Check out the timeline on the channel and you will see it. I've really been enjoying doing these ranking videos, and I got a few more lined up. I got another ECW one. I got a few more New Japan ones. If you can think of any more Impact ones for me to do, please let me know. Hell, maybe I'll do one about the TV Legends / King of the Mountain Championship. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments. So, number 35, Eddie Edwards, 2 reigns, 30 days. I mean, come on. They were, it was an average of 15 days. And I like Eddie Edwards. He's a really good athlete. He's a really good tag team wrestler, really good singles wrestler. He's a better singles wrestler than Davey Richards, in my opinion. And that's no slight against Davey Richards. I just think Eddie's better. But he only held it for a number of days. He didn't hold it for very long. Then we get to number 34, Lashley, 1 reign, 30 days. Lashley being, I believe, Impact World Champion, X Division Champion. They tried to kind of almost do the same thing, replicate the same thing they had with Kurt Angle. And it worked. I mean, Lashley was really super over for a number of years in Impact Wrestling, and now they fucked him up in WWE. But anyway, enough of that. Lashley, great. Great athlete. Wish he was used in better storylines than he currently is. And, if you're coming to this video a few weeks from now, like, if you know, you know, take a look at the timestamp on this video. You'll understand or the date on this video. You'll understand what storyline I'm talking about. He deserves a whole lot better. But he was great in Impact. And then we get to number 33, Rockstar Spud. 2 reigns, 43 days combined. Now Drake Maverick in WWE. He's great at comedy. He was great as a, underdog, like X Division champion or a heel or a babyface, whatever. Spud was really, really good and is still good, don't get me wrong. But he was good in Impact. And I liked his teaming with EC3. And I think they need to revisit that and actually do something with both of them. But I digress. Number 32, Homicide, 1 reign, 52 days. Homicide was one of the... It was weird how they pushed Hernandez more than Homicide. And I think Homicide had other commitments and wanted to go elsewhere and not necessarily be a single star in Impact or whatever the reason was. But I liked Homicide as a singles wrestler and thought it could have worked pretty damn well. It just didn't work out quite as well as I expected. Maybe there was backstage stuff. I don't know. But I thought he'd be great for the X Division. And he was for a brief time. He just didn't get to hold it long. 31, Brian Kendrick, 1 reign, 63 days. And I believe he was the one to beat Abyss and hold the championship for a little bit. And then he lost it like 2 months later. But hey, he got to hold a bit longer than Abyss, and that was some good stuff. And I really did enjoy Kendrick as X Division champion. Not a long reign necessarily, but at least it got the title on the right track. Then we get to number 30, Sonny Siaki, 1 reign, also 63 days. I ranked Sonny Siaki a little bit above, just one above Kendrick. And nothing against Kendrick. Sonny Siaki is often forgotten about, unless you were watching Impact Wrestling at the time when he was there. Really over, and actually I think was somebody that he would have gotten over even more had he stayed in Impact Wrestling, but then he went to WWE, and he was in developmental, but then he had to retire because he donated one of his kidneys to either his cousin or brother. I'm not exactly sure. I know it was a close family member. And he had to retire due to that. And now I think he's doing other stuff. But, credit to him. He gave up his wrestling career to save a family member's life. That's not why I'm ranking him up here, though. I mean, I think he deserves major credit for being a damn good guy for that. But Sonny Siaki was great. I think Sonny Siaki was incredible. He was, jacked. He was very agile. He was strong, agile. He was everything that you could at least have an upper mid-card guy be. I don't know if he ever could have been Impact Wrestling World Champion had he stayed there, or WWE Champion. I sure as fuck know he wouldn't have been WWE Champion, but he could have been Intercontinental Champion. He could have still been, I don't know if he would still been wrestling now. He could have wrestled for a number of years had he not done the incredibly generous, thing that he did, life-saving thing that he did. Sonny Siaki, very, very good, and yeah, putting him over here a little bit, and I hope you all remember Sonny Siaki as being a pretty damn good athlete. And I'm sure he's still athletic now, but he can't be wrestling with only one goddamn kidney, apparently. Anyway, so some of them are in wrestling with only half a brain, like Sid, because he has half the brain that everybody else does. Back to the list. Number 29, Taiji Ishii, 1 reign, 63 days. As of the recording of this video, one half of the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, along with El Phantasmo, or ELP for short. And Ishimori was a guy that, when he was in newer Impact, he brought a lot of excitement. And he brought a lot of excitement in New Japan when he came back as Bone Soldier, and now he's still the Bone Soldier. But when they revived that gimmick and actually made it work because Ishimori's really goddamn good, yeah, another 63-day reign, but he's really, really good. And he's in his mid-30s and still moves around incredibly well. I mean, you would think that he was like 25. Then we go to number 28. Alex Shelley, 1 reign, another 63-day reign. Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Motor City Machine Guns, great team. Alex Shelley, great on his own. You could argue Sabin got more opportunities, but Shelley was just as goddamn good, and I think deserves a shout for how really good he is. And that's why I'm giving them a shout here. Number 27, Sheik Abdul Bashir. And I almost said Brazier because I kept, mispronouncing his name. 1 reign, 84 days, Sean Davari. It's a typical evil foreigner gimmick, but it worked. It worked really well. He made it work. He had a great feud with Consequences Creed, and just in general made a tired, out of like past its prime gimmick work because he's a goddamn good performer and a goddamn good promo. And that's why I'm shouting it here. Number 26, Jake Crist, 1 reign, 70 plus days. He's a current champion, at least as of right now. I think Bound for Glory is in a couple weeks, or about a couple weeks. I think it's actually about a week and a half as of recording this video. I've been asked if I'm going to watch Bound for Glory. Probably not. Money, but also I don't keep up enough on a ton of current Impact Wrestling unless it's people I like. And I mean, nothing against Jay Crist. Actually, I think he's very, very good. But I'm probably not going to watch it, just so you guys know. Well, who knows? May change my mind, may have a review up. Anyway, Jay Crist, very good. One of the good parts of Ohio versus everything. Because him and the other Chris, whose name escapes me, I do apologize for that. Again, not totally up to touch on current Impact Wrestling. But him and his brother, pretty goddamn good. The other guy, not necessarily all that big of a fan of him. But anyway, number 25, Rich Swann, 1 reign, 194 days. Yeah, I'm ranking Rich Swann this low. I got my personal reasons. The guy's performed great in the ring. He has. Kind of can't ignore some of that shit that happened that led to him being released by WWE. Just can't. I mean, just it's a sticking point with me. We all have favorites, least favorites. We all have reasons as to why we feel the way we feel. That takes away nothing from Rich Swann being a great athlete, but it just sticks in my craw. I don't know. It would if WWE did it. It would no matter who, what other company employed him or employed somebody that did what he did, reportedly. I don't know. But Rich Swann did do a lot for the X Division Championship. Got to give him credit for that. About 6.5 months as champion. Number 24, Sanjay Dutt, 1 reign, 81 days. Sanjay Dutt finally becoming X Division champion. A long story, a great story. He was a guy that was really goddamn good in like the NWA TNA era and is somebody that should be remembered a lot more fondly by a lot bigger group of people than he is. And I'm not saying that people shout him down. I just think he kind of almost flies under the radar given how he never held a championship until like later in his career, at least in WWE, or not WWE, but Impact. And now he's a producer in WWE. I'd love to see him have one more match, though. Just a match in NXT. Him against DJZ or him against Pete Dunne. I'd like to see that. I like to see that match. I don't know if he's retired from the ring, though. But anyway, Sanjay Dutt, really like him. Didn't necessarily like the gimmick when he turned heel, when he like tried to, when the whole wedding thing between Jay Lethal and SoCal Val. But Sanjay Dutt made just about everything work. I think he was a much better babyface than he was a heel, but the guy was really good in the ring. And I mean, I'm sure still is if you wanted to get back in. Number 23, Kid Kash, 1 reign, 77 days. I love Kid Kash. I think Kid Kash is very, very good. Never got to have the biggest run in WWE, even though he was Cruiserweight champion. This time in ECW, his time in Impact, he showed how he was one of the more innovative high flyers of like that era. And I mean, I'm sure still could pull out a high flying move if he wanted, but I think he's in his mid 40s by now. I don't know if he'd want to, but Kid Kash is very, very good. And X Division or Tag Team Champion, along with Dallas, now Lance Archer, he was a really, really good talent. Really was. And I mean, sure, still is. But at the time is what I'm referring to. Number 22, Jerry Lynn, 2 reigns, 84 combined days. Jerry Lynn, low-key Styles. Not low-key Styles, not like, Styles. But anyway, moving on from that. Jerry Lynn, AJ Styles, low-key, they tore it up, building an X Division 3-way feud. Yes, a 3-way feud. Oh my. They did really, really good shit. And Jerry Lynn, being a 2-time champion, was very fitting. Jerry Lynn is another unsung hero in wrestling. I know he's popular in some circles. I'm just saying, I just wish people would remember Jerry Lynn, goddamn good. Now he's a trainer in AEW, and great for him. He was just one of those guys that he always brought it. And where there was that series of matches with RVD, series of matches with Just Incredible and ECW, and then in NWA TNA later, and then all the stuff that he was doing, he really did bring it every single goddamn time and deserved to be X Division champion. Number 21, RVD, 1 reign, 137 days. I understood why they did it. RVD had some good matches, don't get me wrong, but this was at the tail end of his TNA career, because it was TNA at the time. I just didn't care for it. I just didn't. I mean, I'm giving it enough of a shout on here about halfway through the list, because it was 137 days, and he had some good matches. But it just always kind of stuck with me, really, okay, I mean, I get you're putting it on an established star, but you had other guys you could put the title on. RVD, sounds like I'm trying to be Scooby-Doo. Being a champion at that point wasn't really necessary, though I get why they did it. And then we get to number 20, Sanada, 1 reign, 110 days, the Great Sanada. That was a great idea. Look, to be fair, Sanada in Impact wasn't all that bad. Certainly went better than Okada in Impact Wrestling. That's still something that bothers me. I mean, I get it. It's been almost 10 years, but it's just still the fact that they used him like that. But hey, Sanada at least got a run with the championship. The Great Sanada thing I didn't necessarily care for, even though Great Muta obviously gave his blessing, and Muta did work with Impact Wrestling in a few tapings for a little bit. I think he even worked a recent pay-per-view, if I recall correctly. But yeah, Sanada, great stuff, and now he's working well in New Japan. So hey, it was a nice platform for him. Number 19, Brian Cage, 1 reign, 112 days. He's not a man, he's a machine. Not about weight limits, it's about no limits. And no, Brian Cage will probably eat your soul. I kid about the last part, but Brian Cage is that goddamn strong, that goddamn athletic, that goddamn quick, agile. The guy's great. I'm probably repeating a whole bunch of words here, but he is really, really good. Incredible to watch. I actually got to see him at the first ever indie show. Maybe it was the second ever indie show that I went to, where it was, I believe, him against now Isaiah Swerve Scott, but Shane Swerve Strickland at the time. And Brian Cage can still perform at a high level. He's really, really good, and he's a great addition to the Impact Wrestling roster. I know he's been there for a bit after the whole Lucha Underground thing fell apart, but my God, Brian Cage, he fits well with Impact Wrestling. I don't know where else he would go if he wanted to go to AEW maybe at some point, but he's been really, really good, and he's been a great world champion, and I mentioned that recently on that list. So yeah, got to give a shout to Brian Cage. We then get to Manic/Suicide, 2 reigns, 194 days. Manic, it was, you had TJP there, you had Suicide, played by Kazarian and Christopher Daniels, and too many people played the Suicide character. There were other people that played him, I'm sure, but yeah, you did have TJP, the future TJP as the X Division champion, and it's getting all jumbled with the Suicide characters. So yeah, 2 reigns, 194 days. I'm going to move on from this because it's just all jumbled in my head. 17, Kenny King, 2 reigns, 150 days. Kenny King is another guy. Ring of Honor, Impact. He had good runs. He didn't have long runs, but he had good runs. He had the better run in Ring of Honor, to be honest. But he did some good stuff in Impact Wrestling as well. Number 16, Tigre Uno, 1 reign, 199 days. Tigre Uno is probably one of those guys where you're like, okay, he's really good in the ring, but has no character. And that kind of was an issue at the time. And he's great. And I'm sure he's still great now. But he had no goddamn character. He was just a guy that was, he was Tigre Uno. He was a high flyer, and he did all this stuff and everything. And maybe it's just because my brain was tuned out of Impact at the time. Just because, a variety of reasons and everything, though I wish him nothing but success. But I just remember not really caring about Tigre Uno as champion. I don't mean to bury the guy because he's great in the ring and put on some great matches and did athletic displays, that were absolutely beautiful. But I just didn't care about his reign necessarily. But 199 days, you can't ignore that. You can't ignore facts. Can't ignore numbers. And yeah, maybe it should be ranked higher just based on numbers alone, but I'm ranking it here. He's near the top 15, so at least there's that. Number 15, Amazing Red. 3 reigns, 122 days. Seen Amazing Red live once. Going to see him live at the 5 Northwest Wrestling Show coming up here in just over a week. That's going to be a lot of fun. He's going to face Jacob Fatu. If you know who Jacob Fatu is, they're going to have to scrape Amazing Red off the goddamn floor. I'm really scared, but moving on from that. Amazing Red, really glad that he's getting this career resurgence. Because he had a bunch of great, matches in smaller promotions and then NWA, TNA at the time. And then later when it was TNA, like in 2009, stuff like that. He has had a lot of injuries and stuff like that. Had an incredible match against Will Ospreay at the Super J Cup in Tacoma. I was there. My God, the crowd was going absolutely apeshit. I'm amazed we didn't blow the goddamn roof off the place. But Amazing Red didn't get to hold the title long, but he got to hold it long enough. And his 2009 reign, I think, actually might be the longest reign he had when Don West was his spokesperson. That was weird, but at least it was back to Don West being a babyface. And I'm just going to throw out something right here. I don't think Don West was that bad of a commentator. I'm not saying he was great, but I think he brought a lot of energy. And at least he appreciated wrestling. So at least there's that. And then we get to number 14, Matt Sidell, one reign, 191 days. Matt Sidell, great. Also going to be at that Defy show that I'm going to be going to. Fucking hell. If you get a chance to go to your local indie promotions, please do. Seek them out. You never know who you're going to see. They get some great talents that aren't snatched up by a whole bunch of other companies, bigger companies. Matt Sidell, whether he's Evan Bourne, Matt Sidell, didn't matter. I mean, he was Matt Sidell before he was Evan Bourne. He's always been great, always put on incredible matches, and can't wait to see him live. But really, he did some great stuff in Impact. Before, he went to WWE, he made some great appearances. I believe he was in that, the X Division Battle Royal. No, I think it was a Battle Royal in general. And at Victory Road 2004, if I recall correctly. And then he was at other tapings and other pay-per-views. But then he had a recent run where he really did well. He did good as a babyface, did good as a heel. Great stuff. Number 13, Michael Shane, 2 reigns, 154 days. Michael Shane, Kazarian, great team, great rivals. Michael Shane is forgotten about, and I hate it because he was really goddamn good. They had to change his name, of course. He had to be called Max Bentley. Because of Michael Shane, WWE tried to put the kibosh on that, even though he's using the Michael Shane name for a while. And I hated that. But, hey, and they even had to dub over their own commentary and this kind of stuff. And it was just for the DVDs. It was fucking stupid. God, pettiness in wrestling in general. And I know something about being petty, being a wrestling fan, stuff like that, because I am petty at times. But no, Michael Shane, Max Bentley, whatever you want to call him, fucking incredible in the ring. Great. Great stuff. I fucking love Michael Shane. He was really goddamn good. And then he had Tracy Brooks with him. And she did when he went to be Max Bentley, she did the Bentley bounce. She bounced her tits. That's basically what they were saying. I'm not knocking Tracy. I'm just saying they were going to the Bentley bounce. Yeah, she's bouncing up and down. We get it. She has boobs. A lot of women do. So yeah, Michael Shane though, really good. And number 12, Trevor Lee, 5 reigns, 339 days combined. Trevor Lee's really good. He is definitely somebody that they used well in recent years in Impact Wrestling, and he's had success since. Trevor Lee is really good, and he's really young. He's only I think in his mid-20s, and he's doing some goddamn good stuff. And I can't wait to see where his career takes him. But he had a really, really good run in Impact Wrestling. Face, heel, didn't matter. He was really good. Number 11, Doug Williams, 2 reigns, 202 days. I love Doug Williams. I think him, Magnus, now Nick Aldis. What's causing all this? Nick Aldis is a genius at Twitter names. That was really, really good stuff. And Rob Terry was also there. Rob Terry actually wasn't that bad, but they were the British Invasion. Doug Williams did well on his own. His run with the X Division Championship, very much a little bit like William Regal running with the TV Championship in WCW. And I know nobody's a vast majority of people that watch this may not get that if you're a younger viewer, but look up William Regal. Well, actually, it was Lord Steven Regal in WCW, and watch what he did with the TV Championship, and then watch what Doug Williams did with the X Division Championship. To me, it's almost about the same. And I'm not saying he copied him. I'm just saying it was the same style. I got that theme with it, and I like Doug Williams and think he was a very, very good athlete that deserved a lot more mainstream attention. Though I know he had a career after he left Impact Wrestling. I'm not trying to imply that. And he had a career before. I just wish he would have gotten a bit more of a mainstream run. That's all. Number 10, we're into the top 10 now. DJZ, 2 reigns, 246 days. Got to meet DJZ a couple times at Without a Cause indie shows. Again, go to some indie wrestling promotions. You never know who you're going to run into. Love DJZ. So happy for him being able to go to NXT, have some success. Hopefully he recovers from, I believe it's a broken eye socket or an eye injury, hopefully, or socket injury. Hopefully he can socket to his opponents. I'm sorry, I don't like he's going to watch this, but hopefully he does recover and does some good stuff. But he's great. He recovered from that horrific, abdominal injury he had. I mean, my God, it was just terrible. I'm glad that he recovered. But he had a great run in Impact Wrestling. Got a lot of unnecessary hate for what happened with an injury to Jesse Sorensen, even though they had him play it up afterwards when he was Zima Ion. That was a name that happened. He overcame a lot of shit to do really well in Impact Wrestling, and now he's had great success in NXT, and I'm very happy for him. Number 9, Kazarian, 5 reigns, 239 combined days. Got to meet SCU at another Defy Northwest Wrestling show. It's becoming a lot of plugs for indie wrestling promotions, but really, that's what's great about Impact Wrestling. They gave a lot of starts and a lot of, big platform to a lot of people on this list. Even though they had careers before, that's one thing that a lot of people forget about Impact Wrestling back in the day. And even now, they're giving a big platform, or a platform to a lot of people to go on to bigger things and build some stars of their own. And Kazarian was one of them. Kazarian had a career before, and he had a little bit of a brief run in WWE on Velocity, and then went right back to Impact. But yeah, his teaming with Michael Shane, later Max Bentley, his run in 2007, where he beat Christian in a number 1 contenders ladder match at Genesis 2007, one of the better to best ladder matches in recent memory. I would throw that on top 20 favorite ladder matches of the last 20 years if I really was to do that list, at least in my opinion. I would not be throwing Ring of Honor ladder matches on there because I don't watch a ton of Ring of Honor, though I know they've had some incredible ones. But Kazarian didn't get to hold the title long, but he got to hold it pretty good. He got to hold it and actually make it mean something. And I'm not saying the others on here didn't, but it meant a lot because they were building something with him, and it worked. Number 8, Petey Williams, 2 reigns, 310 days. I love Petey Williams. That was a guy that should have gotten much more attention. He did retire for a while now. I believe he's back in Impact Wrestling, or at least was, when I recently saw, some clips and stuff like that. But Petey Williams, his series match with AJ Styles and his run with the X Division Championship, I can't ignore just how great he was, and still is, I'm sure. That Canadian Destroyer finisher, my God. When the first time I saw that, I popped like crazy, and now people are just using it, and it's like a 1 or 2 count. But he was at least somebody to popularize it on a U.S. stage. I know there were other people. I'm sure there were other people that used it before. But I remember him popularizing it. He was the first guy I saw use it. If anybody else used it before him, please leave in the comments and let me know. But Petey Williams, his run, whether he was in Team Canada or afterwards when he was Maple Leaf Muscle teaming up with Scott Steiner, that was some pretty good stuff. We then get to number 7, Low Key or Senshi. 5 reigns, 312 days. We are getting deep into the big multiple reigns as opposed to small multiple reigns, and a lot of big days as champion. And Low Key Senshi, didn't matter what the fuck you called him, goddamn good. Really, really just incredible in the ring. From the NWA TNA era to the TNA era to even the Impact Wrestling era. He didn't always stay long in the company, but when he was there, he meant something. He really did some good stuff. And when he was like the Hitman and wrestling in a goddamn suit, I have no idea how he did that, but boy, he did so damn well. Still does well, even now. Really, really great talent. He really is. Even if he's got apparent attitude issues, the guy's an incredible talent. Speaking of people that are divisive, Austin Aries, 6 reigns, 372 days. He had a 301-day reign, the longest reign of any Impact Wrestling X Division champion ever, I believe. I don't think any reign. I think maybe Christopher Daniels' reign comes close, or it came close at the time. But yeah, Daniels blew past him. Aries blew past Daniels. But Austin Aries, yeah, he's divisive and all the stuff and everything. But ignoring all that, the guy is incredible in the goddamn ring. And could put on great matches, whether he would, and even his time as Impact Wrestling. Pardon me. Still getting over a cold. But His time as Impact World Champion was pretty goddamn good. But he made his name in the X Division Championship, or in the X Division Championship division, and my God, sure, if you actually just take away the 301-day reign, he only had 5 other reigns for 61 combined days. But 301-day reign is why he's got to get a shout on here. I mean, come on. Why wouldn't he? Number 5, Jay Lethal, 6 reigns, 294 days. Currently one of the best things going in Ring of Honor and has been for a number of years. But my God, one match I remember in particular, it was No Surrender 2007, him beating Kurt Angle in a great match. And then defending the title, I believe, against Christopher Daniels at the following Bound for Glory. He held the championship since then. The Black Machismo character I really enjoyed. I know that some people thought I limited him. I thought he did a great impression. I wish that Impact had held on to him. I mean, I'm glad Ring of Honor got him because he finally got to be a world champion. He got to do some good stuff. I just wish. I don't understand why Impact Wrestling let him go. I just don't fucking get it. But still, great stuff. And Jay Lethal's absolutely incredible. Number 4, AJ Styles, 6 reigns, 272 days. You might be surprised that AJ Styles ranked this low, but I got a reason for that. He was the mainstay, the great, the icon of Impact Wrestling for a number of years. He was their Sting. And Dixie Carter screwed that all up. Now he's gone on to do even bigger and better things, but he made his home in Impact Wrestling for a number of years. X Division, World Champion, Tag Team Champion. He did it all. He did, I believe, he even held the Legends Championship at one point, or the TV Championship. And that, that right there, I mean, you can't really get any better than that. AJ Styles is just a goddamn incredible athlete. Sure, he has differing opinions on the gay community and a few other things, but if you ignore how he is as a person, apparently, he's a great athlete, and you can't take that away from him. Number 3, Christopher Daniels, 4 reigns, 280 days. Got to meet Daniels a couple times. One in March at the Defy Northwest show, and at a two-day event that Defy Northwest put on in late July. Daniels is class, super class guy. Really good in the ring. He's almost 50, and he moves just as well as he ever did, because that's just how great he is. And, I mean, come on, 4 reigns, 280 days. At the time, he held the X Division Championship longer than anybody. He held it from, oh God, let's see. I think it was Destination X 2005 to Unbreakable 2005, if I recall correctly. And then after that, he held it for, and then him and Styles always had great feuds. And he held the championship after that. But I do recall that being a pretty goddamn good reign. Might be messing up the days just a little bit, but I know he held it for about 6 months. Which, until Aries came in and blew that out of the water, that was the longest reign at the time. But Daniels is one of those guys you're always going to remember as being a great champion. And, I mean, I'm so happy for him having success in AEW now. I mean, he had success way before this. This is just like icing on the cake for him. But anyway, we get to number 2, Samoa Joe, 5 reigns, 350 days. Come on. He held the championship for what? Like, quite a while. I think actually, well, he held it once he beat AJ Styles. He held it for a few months, and then they had to take it off of him after a bit. And then Daniels won it for a little bit, and then Samoa Joe won it back, and then held it for a bit. And they did a whole bunch of stuff and a whole bunch of whatever, but some, a whole bunch of fluky stuff with it. But always, Samoa Joe was the X Division. He had what should have been a better, TNA World Title reign, but still, I digress. He did great stuff with the X Division Championship. Not about weight limits, about no limits, and he put on some incredible matches. Some of the matches in 2005, 2006 especially, were great. Were great matches that when he got to be X Division Champion, some of the stuff is absolutely incredible. Go back and watch some of that stuff. Especially that Unbreakable 3-way with AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels and Unbreakable 2005. They weren't doing pay-per-views in September 2004. Well, except the weekly ones. But now we get to number 1 with all this babbling. Chris Sabin, 8 reigns, 432 days. Yeah, I mean, I'm going with facts based on here, but Chris Sabin is a goddamn incredible athlete. I really hope he can... I think he's recovered from the knee injury that he suffered. I think he did. And if not, hopefully he recovers very soon. But AJ Styles may have been somebody that you actually, thought was the star of the X Division. To me, Chris Sabin is right up there. because of Reigns, because of number of days and stuff like that, but just the incredible matches he put on. Also the matches he put on when he teamed with Alex Shelley. But just factoring that, Chris Sabin, Ultimate X, all the stuff that he did, all the injuries he fought through, Chris Sabin deserves to be number one, in my personal opinion. But who would be your number one? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rithlin. I'll see you soon.